Was Feyerabend an anarchist, exploring the political and religious life of a controversial philosopher? Envision a realm where science is liberated from rigid methodologies, where the quest for understanding breaks free from conventional norms. This realm was the reality of Paul Feyerabend, a significant yet contentious philosopher of the 20th century. He dared to question the very bedrock of science and philosophy, but did his audacious challenges verge on anarchy? What fueled Feyerabend's radical ideas? Was he championing intellectual lawlessness, or was there a deeper, more organized philosophy beneath his seemingly disorderly thoughts? And how did his political and religious convictions intertwine with his philosophical positions? Paul Feyerabend, often seen as a maverick in the philosophy of science, made waves with his bold assertions and unorthodox approaches. Born in Vienna in 1924, he witnessed the rise and fall of tumultuous ideologies, experiences that would profoundly shape his intellectual journey. We welcome you, great knowledge seekers, to yet another episode of Chronicles of Legends. Today, we're diving deep into the life and mind of Feyerabend. We'll explore his views, the controversies they sparked, and the enduring question: was Paul Feyerabend indeed an anarchist in his thinking? As we unravel the layers of Feyerabend's life and work, we might find that the line between philosophical rebellion and anarchism is more blurred than we think. Let's embark on this journey to discover the man behind the provocative ideas. Early life and academic background. Paul Feyerabend's journey into the realm of philosophy began far from the halls of academia. Born in 1924 in Vienna, Austria, a city buzzing with intellectual fervor, Feyerabend grew up in a world marked by rapid changes and emerging ideas. But what early life elements nudged him towards the path of philosophical inquiry? Young Feyerabend showed an early inclination towards the arts and humanities, with a particular interest in theater and opera. However, the tide of World War II swept him in different directions, leading to a brief military service. It was after these tumultuous years that Feyerabend's academic journey truly began. Enrolling at the University of Vienna, he initially pursued physics, but the allure of philosophy, particularly the philosophy of science, soon captivated him. In the university's hallowed halls, Feyerabend encountered influential figures like Karl Popper, who would play a pivotal role in shaping his intellectual pursuits. Popper's critical rationalism and emphasis on the fallibility of scientific knowledge resonated with Feyerabend, fueling his skeptical approach toward scientific methods and theories. This period was crucial in molding the young philosopher's thinking, setting him on a collision course with traditional scientific paradigms. As Feyerabend delved deeper into the study of philosophy, his views began to crystallize. He started challenging the conventional wisdom of science and its methodologies, laying the groundwork for his later, more radical propositions. But was this early intellectual ferment hinting at an anarchist streak, or was it simply a precursor to a more comprehensive critique of science? From the opera houses of Vienna to the lecture halls of the University of Vienna, Feyerabend's early life was a tapestry of diverse influences. These experiences, both in the arts and academia, were instrumental in forging his unique perspective on philosophy. As we turn to examine his philosophical ideologies, we'll see how these early years were not just a prelude, but a fundamental part of his unconventional approach to philosophy. Feyerabend's time at the University of Vienna wasn't just about formal education. It was a period of intense intellectual exploration. He engaged with various schools of thought, constantly questioning and debating the principles of science and philosophy. This environment nurtured his burgeoning interest in the philosophy of science, a field that was rapidly evolving in the mid-20th century. During his university years, Feyerabend was exposed to a spectrum of philosophical ideologies, from logical positivism to existentialism. This exposure broadened his intellectual horizons and provided a rich soil for his later critiques. He began to see philosophy not just as an academic discipline, but as a tool for challenging societal norms and questioning established truths. As Feyerabend's studies progressed, he grew increasingly critical of the rigid methodologies in science. He questioned the unquestioned, pushing against the boundaries of traditional scientific inquiry. This critical stance was not merely academic posturing, but a deeply held belief in the importance of intellectual freedom and the dangers of dogmatism. Upon completing his studies, Feyerabend embarked on his professional journey, intertwining his academic insights with practical experiences. He traveled, lectured, and collaborated with other eminent philosophers and scientists, further honing his perspective. It was through these experiences that Feyerabend began to articulate his more controversial ideas that would later define his philosophical legacy. Feyerabend's early life and academic background laid a complex foundation for his later work. His journey from a curious student to a challenging thinker was marked by a relentless pursuit of intellectual independence. As we move forward to explore his philosophical ideologies, we'll see how these formative years influenced his radical critique of science and his flirtation with anarchistic ideas. Philosophical ideologies. Paul Feyerabend, often labeled as the science's worst enemy, was a philosopher who defied categorization. His ideas, radical and revolutionary, challenged the very essence of scientific methodology and rationality. This section explores the depth and breadth of his philosophical ideologies, particularly focusing on whether these ideologies lean towards anarchism. Feyerabend's most famous dictum, "Anything goes," is often misinterpreted as an endorsement of anarchism in science. However, a closer examination reveals a more nuanced perspective. This statement, central to his book Against Method, was not a call for chaos in science but a critique of the rigid methodological constraints that, according to Feyerabend, stifled scientific creativity and progress. He argued for a methodological pluralism, where multiple methods could coexist and be employed based on their suitability to the problem at hand. His philosophical journey began with a critical examination of the logical positivism that dominated the mid-20th century philosophy of science. Feyerabend was initially drawn to this school of thought, but soon found its limitations stifling. He challenged the positivist view that science should follow a strict empirical method, proposing instead that history showed science advancing through a much more disorderly process. Feyerabend's critique extended to the idea of a universal scientific method. He pointed out that great scientific advances often occurred by breaking the rules and norms of existing methodologies. This view led him to propose epistemological anarchism, a term that he used to describe a theoretical free-for-all, where all ideas merit consideration, regardless of their adherence to traditional scientific methods. The philosopher's ideas were not just limited to the realm of science, they had broader implications for society and its relationship with knowledge. He was a proponent of democratic relativism, advocating that all cultures have the right to evaluate and adopt scientific theories according to their own criteria. This stance challenged the notion of a universal scientific truth, positioning science as just one of many ways of understanding the world. Feyerabend's views on science and methodology were interwoven with his political and personal beliefs. He saw the dominance of a singular scientific method as a form of intellectual imperialism, limiting the diversity of thought and inquiry. His advocacy for a more inclusive approach to knowledge and understanding was a reflection of his broader views on freedom, diversity, and the importance of individual perspectives. Feyerabend's philosophical ideologies, though often labeled anarchistic, were more about promoting intellectual freedom and diversity than advocating for disorder and chaos. His contributions to the philosophy of science continue to provoke debate and discussion, challenging us to rethink our understanding of science and its role in society. Feyerabend's opposition to the dominance of a single scientific method was not an outright rejection of science. Instead, he argued for a richer, more diverse scientific landscape where unconventional ideas could thrive. This perspective was rooted in his belief that scientific progress is not linear, but rather a complex, multifaceted process involving various methodologies and perspectives. His controversial stance was vividly illustrated in his criticism of the falsification theory of science, popularized by Karl Popper. While acknowledging the value of falsification, Feyerabend argued that adhering strictly to this method could hinder scientific progress. He pointed to historical examples where scientific breakthroughs were achieved by flouting the prevailing norms and methodologies. Feyerabend's ideas extended beyond the realm of natural sciences to encompass social sciences and humanities. He believed understanding human behavior and societies required a multidisciplinary approach, integrating insights from various fields. This holistic view was part of his broader challenge to compartmentalizing knowledge and the hierarchy of disciplines. One of the most significant aspects of Feyerabend's philosophy was his critique of the relationship between science and society. He was deeply concerned about the authority that science wielded in societal matters and the potential for this authority to be misused. His advocacy for a more democratic approach to science was tied to his vision of a society where diverse voices and perspectives were heard and valued. In the latter part of his career, Feyerabend focused on the cultural and historical contexts of scientific theories. He argued that scientific knowledge is not merely a collection of facts and theories, but is deeply embedded in cultural and historical narratives. This perspective led him to champion the cause of scientific pluralism, advocating for the inclusion of traditional and indigenous knowledge systems alongside mainstream scientific theories. Feyerabend's philosophical journey was marked by constant evolution and refinement of his ideas. He remained a staunch critic of dogmatism in any form, whether in science, philosophy, or society at large. His legacy lies in his relentless questioning of established norms and his unwavering commitment to intellectual freedom and diversity. Paul Feyerabend's philosophical ideologies, often misconstrued as anarchistic, were a profound call for a more open, diverse, and democratic approach to knowledge and understanding. His work challenges us to embrace complexity and diversity in our pursuit of knowledge, reminding us that in the realm of science and philosophy, there are no absolute truths, only an ongoing journey of discovery and understanding. Political and religious views. Paul Feyerabend's engagement with philosophy was not limited to the academic sphere. It extended into his views on politics and religion, areas that profoundly influenced his life and work. In this section, we delve into these aspects, revealing how they shaped his philosophical stance. Politically, Feyerabend was often seen as a figure who defied conventional labels. His disdain for dogmatic adherence to any ideology was evident in his political views. He was skeptical of grand political theories and systems which he believed often overlooked individual needs and freedoms. This skepticism resonated with his philosophical views on science, where he similarly cautioned against the dominance of singular methodologies. Feyerabend's political philosophy emphasized the importance of individual freedom and autonomy. He was critical of any system, whether political or scientific, that imposed strict rules and standards, restricting creative thought and expression. This stance led some to label him as an anarchist mistakenly. However, his advocacy was more for balancing order and freedom rather than altogether rejecting structured governance. religion played a complex role in Feyerabend's life. While he did not adhere strictly to any religious doctrine, he was deeply interested in the philosophical and cultural dimensions of religion. He viewed religious narratives and beliefs as vital components of human culture and understanding, deserving the same level of respect and consideration as scientific theories. Feyerabend's interest in diverse cultural practices and beliefs was part of his broader advocacy for epistemological pluralism. He argued that different cultures and societies develop their own ways of understanding the world, which include religious beliefs. This view was in stark contrast to the prevailing scientific mindset that often dismissed religious and traditional knowledge as unscientific or irrational. Throughout his career, Feyerabend maintained a nuanced view of the relationship between science, politics, and religion. He criticized the tendency to elevate science as the ultimate authority on truth, arguing that this undermined other forms of knowledge and belief systems. His philosophy called for a more inclusive and democratic approach, where different perspectives, including religious and political ones, were valued and considered. Feyerabend's political and religious views were integral to his philosophical outlook. He championed the cause of intellectual freedom, advocating for a world where diverse beliefs and perspectives, be they scientific, political, or religious, could coexist and enrich human understanding. This approach was a hallmark of his philosophy, reflecting a deep commitment to exploring and understanding the complex tapestry of human thought and culture. Feyerabend's political and religious views were not just theoretical musings. They had practical implications in his life and work. His critique of scientific absolutism was paralleled by his critique of political and religious dogmatism. He believed that just as science should be open to diverse methodologies and perspectives, political and religious institutions should also embrace diversity and multiplicity of thought. His experiences shaped his political beliefs during and after World War II. Witnessing the rise and fall of totalitarian regimes, Feyerabend became acutely aware of the dangers of dogmatic adherence to any political ideology. This historical context influenced his later philosophical work, where he argued against any form of intellectual authoritarianism, be it in science, politics, or religion. Feyerabend's approach to religion was similarly nuanced. He recognized the profound impact that religious beliefs and practices have on individuals and societies. Instead of dismissing religion as mere superstition, as some of his contemporaries did, he saw it as a rich, complex system of understanding the world. This respect for religious narratives was part of his advocacy for a pluralistic approach to knowledge and understanding. In his writings and lectures, Feyerabend frequently addressed the intersection of science, politics, and religion. He cautioned against the uncritical acceptance of scientific theories and methodologies, just as he cautioned against the uncritical acceptance of political and religious doctrines. Impact and legacy. Paul Feyerabend's contribution to philosophy and science is as significant as contentious. His work sparked intense debates and left a lasting impact on how we understand the nature of scientific inquiry and knowledge. Let us examine the legacy he left behind and his influence on contemporary thought. Feyerabend's challenge to the scientific status quo made him a polarizing figure. His critiques of methodological monism and advocacy for methodological pluralism opened up new avenues for understanding how science works. His ideas encouraged a more flexible, open-minded approach to scientific inquiry, acknowledging that there is no one-size-fits-all method to discovery and understanding. The philosopher's impact extended beyond the realms of science and philosophy into broader societal issues. His views on the democratization of knowledge and the importance of integrating diverse perspectives resonate strongly in today's global, multicultural society. Feyerabend's ideas advocate for a more inclusive approach to knowledge, one that values and incorporates a variety of cultural and intellectual traditions. In the academic world, Feyerabend's work has continued to be a subject of study and discussion. His ideas have influenced fields such as science and technology studies, sociology of science, and philosophy of science. Scholars in these fields often reference Feyerabend's work when discussing the nature of scientific progress, the relationship between science and society, and the role of values and beliefs in scientific inquiry. Feyerabend's legacy is also evident in the growing interest in interdisciplinary research and the recognition of the value of traditional and indigenous knowledge systems alongside scientific ones. His advocacy for epistemological pluralism has contributed to a broader understanding of what constitutes knowledge and how it can be acquired. Despite the controversies surrounding his work, Feyerabend's contributions to philosophy and science cannot be overstated. He challenged entrenched beliefs and opened up new ways of thinking about science, knowledge, and society. His call for intellectual freedom and diversity remains as relevant today as it was during his lifetime. Paul Feyerabend's impact on the philosophy of science and his legacy in the broader intellectual world are profound. He was a thinker who was not afraid to challenge the status quo, and his ideas continue to inspire and provoke debate. His work reminds us of the importance of questioning established norms and being open to a multitude of perspectives in our pursuit of understanding and knowledge. Feyerabend's influence can be seen in the ongoing debates about the nature and role of science in society. His questioning of scientific orthodoxy has inspired a more critical and reflective approach to scientific practice. This perspective is particularly relevant in contemporary discussions about scientific responsibility, ethics, and the societal implications of scientific research. His work has also had a significant impact on the philosophy of science education. Feyerabend's ideas have led to a re-evaluation of how science is taught, emphasizing critical thinking and the exploration of alternative scientific theories. This approach aims to cultivate a more sophisticated understanding of science, one that acknowledges its complexities and uncertainties. Feyerabend's legacy is not confined to academic circles. His critique of scientific dogmatism and his advocacy for intellectual pluralism have found resonance in public discourse. In a world increasingly dominated by scientific and technological advancements, his call for a more inclusive and democratic approach to knowledge remains profoundly relevant. Furthermore, Feyerabend's work continues to inspire those who seek to bridge the gap between different cultures and knowledge systems. His insistence on the value of diverse perspectives has contributed to a growing appreciation of the interconnectedness of global knowledge systems. In retrospect, Feyerabend's legacy is marked by his unrelenting challenge to the status quo and his passionate defense of intellectual diversity. His work serves as a reminder of the importance of maintaining an open and critical mind in the face of dominant paradigms. His philosophical contributions continue to spark debate and inspire new generations of thinkers, ensuring that his impact on the world of philosophy and science will be felt for years to come. Paul Feyerabend's impact on the philosophy of science and his enduring legacy is a testament to the power of critical thinking and the value of diverse perspectives. His ideas challenge us to continually re-examine our assumptions and to embrace the complexities of the world we live in. Feyerabend's legacy is a call to engage with the world in a more thoughtful, inclusive, and critical manner. As we reach the end of our exploration into the life and philosophy of Paul Feyerabend, it's clear that his impact on the world of science and philosophy is both profound and enduring. Feyerabend challenged us to question the established norms and to embrace a more inclusive and diverse approach to understanding the world around us. Feyerabend's philosophy often misunderstood as an endorsement of anarchism, was, in fact, a powerful call for intellectual freedom and diversity. He urged us to look beyond rigid methodologies and to recognize the value of multiple perspectives in the pursuit of knowledge. His ideas have sparked meaningful discussions about the nature of science, the role of methodology, and the importance of respecting diverse ways of knowing. The legacy of Paul Feyerabend reminds us that in the realm of science and philosophy, there are no absolute truths. Instead, there is a continuous journey of exploration and understanding, a journey that is enriched by a multitude of voices and perspectives. Feyerabend's work encourages us to be open-minded, critical, and reflective in our thinking, and to appreciate the complexity and diversity of the world. In conclusion, the question, "Was Feyerabend an anarchist?" opens up a broader conversation about the nature of science and philosophy. Feyerabend's contributions challenge us to think deeply about these disciplines and their impact on society. His legacy is a testament to the power of questioning and the importance of intellectual freedom. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the life and ideas of Paul Feyerabend. If you found this video insightful and thought-provoking, please consider subscribing to our channel and giving this video a like. Your support helps us continue to explore fascinating topics and bring you engaging content. Until next time, keep questioning and exploring the world around you.